Welcome everybody, and thank you for having me. My name's Stuart, and I'm the head of Stage and Screen at the Northern School of Art. Um, Today, in this presentation, I want to talk a little bit about the School of Art itself because it's quite relevant to this topic, and a little bit about the industry in the region, but nationally as well, and how advancing technologies are kind of changing that. But also how we can adapt to that by working across different disciplines. And again, I'm going to tie that back a little bit to the way that we work at the Northern School of Art. And then just touch on modern and future skill sets as well as part of kind of, what you can do to kind of prepare yourself for this industry. A little bit about me first. Like all of the academic staff at the Northern School of Art, I have my own practice in producing. These are stills from a short film production set in 1920s Prohibition era America, which is going to be released any time soon. But just really chucked in as an example of the fact that we do keep our skills updated at the Northern School of Art, and everybody on all of the creative practice degrees has their own practice running alongside. Even the people that are that are managing, like myself. A little bit about the Northern School of Art then. We're based in Hartlepool, which is on the northeast coast. It's one of only a handful of art schools that still exist in the country. And we just run specialist art and design degree programs. It's what we focus on. We also have a few master's programs as well. But essentially, we're a little weird, odd artistic community up in the northeast, but in a region that is actually really expanding as far as the screen industries go. So we've had quite a lot of investment, and we've also developed our own TV studios, commercial TV studios, which are on campus at our Hartlepool site and offer students the opportunity to work in a professional studio environment as well as on their own studies. The Faculty of Stage and Screen consists of six programs: acting for stage and screen, uh, costume design, set design, and you can see here that the set there that's been produced by a student is actually the set that's used as the backdrop for those photographs of costumes. Um, you can see that's actually in our workshop. Um, More sort of behind the scenes of set design. We work at scale, so this is much more towards the traditional kind of skills that are needed in the industry, like being able to use the drill, for instance. These are the things that the employers ask for as part of the types of graduates that they're after. So we do still we build stuff, we work at scale, we produce the types of things that are needed for the industry. And that is across traditional and digital products. So examples here from our model making and props department, but also our visual effects department, which, can kind of work with people like model making and props and set design. And I'll talk a bit more about that later. We also have a degree in film, TV, and theatre production, which is quite rare to combine all of those three in a degree program. And you can see some examples here of the types of production that we make collaboratively with other departments. So if we just flip forward, you can see that this is a set that has been designed by our set design department and then constructed and then used to film on by our film and TV students, and then matched to an exterior location, which was a working steam railway in Yorkshire. So our key ethos is we work together, and that is so indicative of the way that the industry works. You've got different departments that have different roles to fulfill, coming together to make high-end productions. Excuse me. This So I want to dip into a little bit the kind of types of production that are out there and very, very popular at the moment in the UK. And this, this is where we see those skills coming together, those different departments. In scripted, my examples are from 2004 because that was the last full year we had. But from scripted, you'll see so probably some different programs that you might recognize amongst the ones featured there. Scripted being things like drama, high-end TV, it's anything to do with comedy, sitcom. Um, in this case, we've got Doctor Who, obviously, which is a massive franchise that UK develops, but also award winners like Baby Reindeer and really popular programs, cult hits like Industry, which has like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Um, and then, another large part of the current UK industry is unscripted. And there's a lot of development around this nationally. Obvious massive hit recently is The Traitors. 11.7 million viewers of the celebrity Traitors, which is, absolutely huge and a fantastic product that we can say that we can own and then, sell to different countries. Um, Not to forget some of the other areas that students move on to when they graduate, such as daytime TV, um, documentary TV, factual entertainment. Um, these are really important kind of cornerstones of our industry, and they're a really good way into the industry as well. And quite often they do involve quite a lot of regional production, so it means you can kind of get involved if you're outside of London and Manchester, some of the bigger bases. You can get involved in this type of production to get your foot on the ladder. Of course, alongside that, we have a big history of making excellent award-winning features as well. And we picked up some awards in the last Oscars. Peter Straughan got Best Adapted Screenplay for Conclave. And Lol Crawley was Best Cinematography for The Brutalist. We do have world-beating crew in the UK. And for new entries into the industry, that's great because it means that you've got people there that have that expertise that can share it and pass it on and keep that kind of really strong crew base alive in the country. And that's what attracts the big American companies over here to produce their work as well as kind of tax incentives and that type of thing. And there's a whole host of jobs to choose from. So some of those features might employ up to 4,000 people, with each having a specific role or responsibility. Um, the UK TV and film industry employs about 100,000 people. As a comparison, just to sort of put that in sort of realistic terms, there's about 200,000 secondary school teachers in the country. So it's about half the amount of secondary school teachers that there are in the country. So it's a huge, it's a big area, and that's just in UK film and TV. Obviously, around that, there are surrounding industries in the creative industries that employ, even an absolute load of people, and it's one of the fastest growing industries in the UK as well, um, and has been for some time. I'm not going to go into each one of those roles because it's too many to mention there, but a great way that you can find out more about the roles available in film and TV is you can go to screenskills.com, which will basically give you an insight into the different development departments and production departments. Um, our programs at the Northern School of Art mirror these production departments. So, a lot of the stuff that you see on there, the roles that you see, will be features of our programs at the Northern School of Art. Um, you know, it's very sensible for us to model ourselves on real production rather than creating kind of standalone, isolated programs that don't feed into each other. So a little bit about emerging technologies. Frank Capra said there are no rules in filmmaking, only sins, and the cardinal sin is dullness. Well, in today's world, it is very important that we take on board the fact that human creativity is at the core of everything, and we are nothing without that as an industry. Um, we can't rely purely on technology to do the job for us. It will, completely quash the creativity of humans, and the interaction and the communication between us that we desire so much. So I thought I'd preface with that because that's really important. Um, Having said that, there are a lot of tools available now that are very much established within the sector. Virtual production is the ability to film live actors and set and models against backdrops, which can basically transport that person and that location to anywhere you want, by using digital backdrops. It's especially useful for things like lower budget productions like commercials, music videos, that type of thing, where you need results fast without having to go to location, spend an absolute fortune on building sets and that type of thing. It is used in TV production and features as well, where an alternative to more production methods, traditional production methods, is needed. Like if you're shooting a conversation in the interior of a helicopter, then you might want to use virtual production to create a backdrop for that rather than actually taking a helicopter or trying to do it in a different way. One of the advantages is you can actually use the screens, the big screens, as backdrops, and but you can also use them to create reflections and that type of thing, sort of adding to the realism of those particular scenes. I'm sure you will have seen this well documented, especially if you've got an interest in TV and film production. Um, this is our TV studio at the Northern School of Art. I put it as an example of an empty room, I guess, that we use to then film assets such as actors against green screen, but then composite them into scenes without the need for large scale location work and sets. We can use camera tracking technology, and directors can see the results of that green screen compositing in real time, as the actors interact with the world around them. There's uh, so many examples now from, most features will involve actors acting against green screen and then composited into other environments. It's sort of really standard practice. And then obviously the other area the green screen is used in is to um, extend locations. So real locations, but then that are extended out into more fantastical environments, such as the sort of post-apocalyptic world of The Last of Us or something like that. Motion capture is also a big one. These are it's a lecturer and student from our faculty. We work closely with a company called Proto in Gateshead, and they have a lot of technology, emerging technology that they can that they're developing over there, and it's basically a centre for creative exploration of technology. And we work closely with them. We take students over there, and we use things like motion capture and virtual production. And it's about exploring those technologies and seeing whether they work for you. The motion capture is again widely used as something to create creatures, whether it be tracking movement or even face tracking, to allow expressions to be captured. A sort of combined version of this is might be something like this particular example, which is Jurassic World Rebirth from this year, where basically anything can be imagined. We can use real actors, composite them into scenes with completely digitally created environments that move and react at the same time as the actors. and the camera. And then into that we can composite, fantastical creatures, recreate dinosaurs, anything that we could possibly imagine. Um, However, these digital worlds, and I've used Jurassic World Rebirth as an example of this, don't always convince the audience. There is a line between worlds which the audience can feel a part of and can believe as reality, and worlds that feel too digital and use too many digitally created assets. So another example might be Ant-Man Quantumania, which was sort of slated for its overuse of digital environments and virtual production as well in kind of the soft focus of the backgrounds. So it can be overused. Really, essentially, the key is to get a balance, and a balance between live action, use of green screen, blue screen, use of composited elements, and use of creatures. Example from Squid Game there. Of course, with the advent of AI, we can now create anything we want without even having to necessarily get on set. In the future, it could be said that AI could be used for all of these different things. Creating those actors, um, putting your favorite actors into a scene without even having to employ them. Um, Relighting shots, translating films, putting yourself into the action as an actor. In the future, it could be said that audiences could even generate their films on the fly in real time to suit their own algorithms and their own preferences. Um, it's a scary concept, that idea that our future TV could be basically us typing in what we would like to see and then it being produced for us on the spot. Um, Without any humans involved whatsoever. Um, Nicolas Cage, there's a great quote from Nicolas Cage, says, "I'm a big believer in not letting robots dream for us," which is, at the moment, AI is developing rapidly, and it has already demonstrated the ability to recreate all aspects of a film production. So it can create convincing film. Um, but it does it badly. It is not, there's a distinctly robotic element to it. It is not human and it does not utilize human creativity. I'm whizzing through this now because I've got a couple more examples to show. Um, I want to take us back now to one of the most successful products of last year, which was Adolescence, written by Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham. And you will have heard of this, I'm sure. Um, Adolescents took a different tact. Okay. So instead of kind of buying into kind of digital technology, um, although it did use digital technology, sorry, it stripped it back to the raw human emotion of one continuous take. So each episode done in one continuous take. By doing that, it brought the audience right into that moment. Um, you did use innovative filmmaking techniques because it had to use a gimbal style camera. It had to use different grip and stuff to get that camera from one place to another. It had to use experimental lighting to shift the lighting as the camera moved. Again, using kind of like a technology to do that. And new ways of working, the idea of rehearsing and taking one take over and over again. Um, uh, and that worked so well. It was a human innovation, a human creativity that pushed that over the line. And obviously the theme as well of the program, which was a really human theme. Um, I just wanted to mention briefly how you can use IP. So essentially, um, IP is intellectual property, and as we move into a world where computers are kind of really at the forefront, it's going to be really important that we develop IP. I'm not going to go into this in massive depth because I'm running out of time. But a great example of this is something like the Bluey IP, which is has basically moved through from an animated series through to a movie, gaming, digital platform, merchandising and partnerships. It's an excellent example of cultivating IP and reaching audiences. And part of the sort of the human element of technology at the moment is going to be working with audiences. Again, Star Wars is a great example of something that has absolutely used every different way of connecting with its audience, and obviously monetizing that as well. Recent one being the Rise of Resistance immersive ride. So finally, what is the future industry looking for? I've put some, I've created some examples here. It's not a specific, it's not an absolute set of skills, but what we understand from our partners and people that we work from in industry is that it's about understanding the technology, utilizing the technology, but it is still about all of those other skills that go around that. It's about understanding sustainability as well. But it's about being a hard worker. It's about being friendly and helpful. It's about being willing to learn. It's about being flexible, all the things that come up time and time again. Um, but having an understanding of the different disciplines and the way that they work together and how technology feeds into that is obviously a huge part of making you stand out against the crowd. Um, it's great to use something like the Eric app as well to look for opportunities. So that is the end of my presentation. But just to bring it back with one example of something that we're developing at the moment, our final year student, Stuart Hunter, is actually developing a production which does bring together all of these aspects. So it brings in gaming engines, we're going to use green screen, we're going to have real set design, real model making, real actors to recreate kind of Egypt, the pyramids, and a really fantastical sort of environment. But again, at the center of that is going to be a human story. Um, Thank you. Sorry for running over a little bit, but uh,
No, thank you so much, Stu. That was amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. Thanks for the Eric recommendation as well. Enjoyed that.
I wasn't
Um,
even asked to do that.
yeah, exactly. This is not paid ad. Um, but no, I thought that was really great just to go through, like you said, like how it's changing. And I think everyone has that question of like, how is film going to change? We had a question actually from someone who asked you, do you think actors will be replaced?
No, is the simple answer. Well, not for a very long time, and I wouldn't worry about, you can still go and do your acting program. You will be in desirable for a long time yet.
Good, good, good. But no, that was really, I think it is scary thinking that, you're not going to have the right skills and stuff. But like you just pointed out, actually the skills that you need is be
It's
kind,
it's the
EQ.
same.
It's the same.
Stick to your guns, absolutely. Yeah.
So there is hope for everyone who does want to still get into the screen industries. But we will let you go, Stuart. Thank you so, so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will speak to you very soon.
Thank you very much.